All of us have aspects of our personality that we express openly. The things that people who don't know us well tend to judge us by. The characteristics that are in the light. But equally, we all have sides that we tend to hide, or which operate on a subconscious level, often when we are under pressure. These are not dark in a Star Wars sense, they are simply unexpressed or under wraps. Often the two work hand in hand. The fearless righter of wrongs who is tripped up by their own impulsiveness, the person whose exceptional eye for detail sometimes means that they can't see the wood for the trees. Deciding what combination of light and dark characteristics your character possess will give you a real insight into their psychological makeup, into what drives them and causes them to respond to situations in a certain way. It may also highlight the internal struggles they need to display in order to be compelling. Remember, none of us is perfect. We don't want the people we read about to be perfect either. To see how this works in practice, let's try to analyse the personality of Colin Dexter's Oxford detective, Inspector Morse. Morse has been described as the quintessential middle-class Englishman, a complex and often contradictory character, which is of course what makes him human and therefore compelling. Let's start by listing his light characteristics. In other words, those he tends to show to the world. Light. Personable, but reserved. Highly intelligent and analytical. Despairing of man's humanity to man. Conventional. Admires and attracted by women. Notice that not all of these characteristics are necessarily likable. They are simply the ones Morse tends to display, the front door of his personality. Okay, now let's look at his corresponding dark characteristics and see how they match up. Dark. Known to open up over a pint. Often oblivious to people's feelings, especially his partner Lewis's. Occasionally sullen and irritable. Ambivalent towards superiors and authority. Can come across as patronising. Now notice how one characteristic can beget a corresponding, apparently contradictory one. For example, Morse sometimes abandons his natural reserve when discussing a case with his partner Lewis over a pint in the pub. But equally, he can be oblivious of Lewis's life as a family man or even his partner's down-to-earth intuition when he becomes fixated on the details of a case. Similarly, Morse is a great admirer of women. Unfortunately, his shyness makes him feel uncomfortable in their presence, which can make him appear stuffy and patronising. Colin Dexter's skill as a writer is to reveal Morse's dark characteristics sparingly and gradually, not by spelling them out, but through Morse's actions and his responses to situations. Just when we think we know what he's going to do, he does something different. Just when we think we've got to know him, imperfections and all, we are reminded that there are hidden depths to his personality. This is what makes Morse such a compelling character. Like him or not, we care about what happens to him and become invested in his success, which is solving murders. You can do this sort of analysis on any literary character, including your own. Make sure, though, that you distinguish between the actions that cause them to act according to their most basic psychological makeup and those that are prompted by outside circumstances, be it the influence of others or things that happen to them. Remember, a character's psychological makeup influences what we see in them, light, and also what we don't, dark. Strengths often lead to corresponding weaknesses, or vice versa, that create internal tension within the character and are apt to wrong-foot them. These tend to emerge when he or she is under pressure. Now try it yourself. Pick a literary character that you're familiar with and make a list of their light and dark characteristics. Make notes on how that person might respond if they returned to their hotel room and found a dead body on the bed.